Take a look at the image on your screen. Bud Crawford with all the belts, the WBC commemorative belt after a successful outing against Canelo Alvarez. Congratulations to Bud Crawford. Congratulations to Canelo Alvarez for his illustrious career and Bud Crawford for that as well. In a previous video, I stated I had one X factor for this fight. I talked about pros, cons, Bud, Canelo, whatever the case may be. I had one X factor though, and it was the strategic planning and corner work of Brian McIntyre, Bomac, and Terence Bud Crawford in this video. The X Factor came to fruition. I break down my observations from the fight and why solid corner work, honesty, and transparency won the day. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Let's just get into it. Before we kick knowledge, please be so kind. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified when all the videos drop. And let's just get into it. Saturday night, Bud Crawford was victorious over Saul Canelo Alvarez in a sensational fight. And I want to bring to your attention a couple observations I made. Please stick with me. This is solid information. It's great. One of the first things I noticed from the fight was this. When each round ended and both fighters went to their corners, for like the first 7 rounds, they just went to Canelo's corner. They did not go to Bud Crawford's corner for whatever reason or another. But what I noticed was this. If there was a round that could be perceived to not go Bud's way, when Bud Crawford came to the center of the squared circle, he had the adjustment and he implemented it really, really quickly. Bud Crawford and team were honest with Bud in the corner about what they were seeing round by round. And Bud adjusted accordingly. Even though I would have liked to have heard what was taking place in the corner of Bud Crawford, it was abundantly clear that they were saying, hey, you gave a round away, maybe 2 rounds away. You got to do this. You got to press forward. You got to be busier. You got to land more meaningful shots. Get busy right away. Get to the center of the square circle and don't give up ground. It was very obvious that Bud Crawford and team were making adjustments based on what the corner and Bomac were seeing. And they were honest, and Bud took that feedback. In one of my later videos, closer to the fight, I said this would be a fight of adjustments. And I stated, if Canelo Alvarez, because I've seen Bud do this, and Bomac and Bud have made a habit of being really sound in their preparation and then being honest in the corner. But at times you've seen the Bebo fight is a good example. Eddie Reynoso saying, hey, Canelo, you got to try this, try that. Feign a little more. Utilize a jab, blah, blah, blah. And you don't see it from Canelo. He's stubborn. And I stated, if Canelo doesn't make an adjustment, it's likely he'll get cooked. Another thing I stated was this. A stoppage is not likely to happen in this fight. In 100%, Bud Crawford would not be stopping Canelo. But once we got past the window of possibility of stoppage, the longer that fight stretched out, the likelihood of Bud Crawford winning increases exponentially. The judges' scorecards revealed that 2 of the judges had Bud down with 2 rounds remaining. I'm not really even mad at that. Let me tell you why. I had similar scoring. And one of the things that has to be entertained is this. Boxing tends to be a hyper-emotional sport. How we view it, how we score it is based on the thing that we desire the most. I watched the fight. I was having a conversation with my family at home, and I said, what we don't know is what the judges are going to value. The activity and movement of Bud Crawford, being precise, picking his shots, throwing some pity pat stuff in there, and staying safe, or the power work to the body and the stalking of Canelo Alvarez. You don't know what they're going to value. If you tell me that Bud Crawford is down on 2 scorecards going into the last 2 rounds, that doesn't really shock me. But the reality is, because this is what this video is about, is the corner of Bud Crawford and Brian McIntyre said, hey, look, listen, 10, 11, 12, we need you to be cement, set your feet, and stand and trade and make a statement. We got to ensure we get this victory. And how can you be mad at that? Canelo made some significant tactical errors. He abandoned the jab. He relied too heavily on his power. He had success early with it, but I think his success was more rooted in the fact that Bud Crawford and team had a game plan that they implemented very carefully. One of the statements that I made after the Errol Spence demolition, and I picked Errol Spence to win that fight, and I got a lot of heat. And delete your channel, you dirty bastard. You picked Errol to beat Bud Crawford? My rationale was the activity and the body work of Errol Spence would overcome the technical deficiency that he had, because I acknowledge that Bud was a more skilled fighter. I was wrong. I can own that. That's not a big deal. In this particular bout, however, I was pretty honest about the reality of this. Let's say the fight took place at 60. I'm picking Bud, and I'm not questioning anything. 68 was a bit too far, in my opinion. Bud Crawford was more than up to the task. One of the realities is, though, Canelo wasn't a true 68er, despite being undisputed and beating a lot of guys there, but he's a 60 pounder. This takes nothing away from Bud. Bud's a man. If you watching this video and saying, this guy's hating on Bud Crawford is a fucking man. And what's also important to note, for people who come to my channel hating and shit, Bud got all the credit before he beat Canelo. I acknowledge how he would do it, what was likely to happen, and his game plan. And people even criticize me for saying, utilize a jab, land combination punches, steal rounds, and get on your bike. That's the path to victory. And that's precisely what Bud did. I gave you the blueprint. And why did he do it? Because he had the talent, skill, and ability to do so. But I digress. When I bring up the Errol's fight, it's only for this reason. It was very obvious to me that Errol Spence Jr. trained to just do what he does, but Bud Crawford and Bomac trained to beat Errol, identify weaknesses, and exploit them. They did the same exact thing with Canelo. It was Canelo's job to say, cool, they got me on this one or two things, let me make an adjustment. And Canelo refused to do so. Some things that I appreciate. Bud Crawford's raw emotions after the victory. He gets a lot of criticism for, you're not mic ready, you're not really entertaining, and blah, blah, blah. This motherfucker don't really need to be those things. Bud Crawford's just a real-ass dude who supports his team, loves his family. He's not perfect. You can't tell him no to anything. I had questions about not Canelo being bigger, but how he would operate with the weight. He did sacrifice speed, but his timing and his savant was at an all-time high. There's no denying that. He did his thing. For Canelo Alvarez, I don't know what direction you're going. Bud has all the belts. He has, in my opinion, limited options at 68. Bomac said, we're not doing no dumbass David Benavidez fight, which I agree with. I believe there was an interview with Ariel Helwani where Bud Crawford entertained the idea of retirement, which I said, win, lose, or draw, he was likely to do. He looks so good winning against Canelo, though. He's a viable champion that you're going to have to gut Crawford to beat him. The Mayweather-Crawford comparisons, I'm not a fan. I think that's bullshit, and I won't celebrate it. Crawford's path to greatness has been very different than anyone else's. 3 times undisputed, 40, 47, obviously. And people will criticize, well, you didn't lift it off a bunch of champions. But what he did was answer the call. You can't do this thing. At 40, he did it for real. Errol did heavy lifting at 47, and you can't beat Errol. And I picked Errol. And Crawford destroyed him instantly. It took him 2 rounds to get him out of there. Now, it went to round 11 or 10 when he got stopped, but round 2, the fight was decided. Moving up to 68, and the thing of it is, you can call it hating, but I'm giving Crawford more credit than you guys will give him based on the fact that you said, well, he went up 2 weight classes. I think he went up 3. He got past Madrimov, got lumped up a little bit, had to earn it. That was his only experience in the division. No fights at 60, right to 68. That's significant. Terence Bud Crawford, I wouldn't pick him to lose against anybody in any weight right now. And he's still sharp. He's not worn a lot of damage. I still contend he got dropped against Idris Kavyaskis, Mean Machine. That was many moons ago. Statistically, he's one of the hardest fighters to hit. He's mean. His offense is creative and treacherous. The X factor is Brian Bomac McIntyre and that team as they prepare for the opposition. If you get slated to fight Bud Crawford and you're not willing to do what's necessary to prepare for having plan A through E, F, G, you're probably going to lose, and you might lose bad. Canelo wasn't going to get stopped. He's too big, too strong, neck too thick, too prideful. But he did break in round 10. He made tactical errors. You were never going to win a hand-speed battle with Bud Crawford. That was never going to be an option for you. Bud Crawford made the strategic decision to not take unnecessary risk until the back half of the fight when steam was coming off your shots, power had started to wane. He wasn't setting his feet and doing all that dumb shit early. He waited till he knew he was largely safe. That's called strategic planning. Canelo demonstrated or showed non-verbally frustration. This is very similar to the Bivol fight. One of the things that's most unique about Terence Bud Crawford and his ascension to the top of the sport of boxing, because that's where he resides, is the team, the legitimate team aspect of it. He's got to go in there alone, gloves, boxing boots, and shorts, and fight. But he believes in his team, and Bomac sets a strategy based on the fighter they're facing that almost always ensures success. And Bud Crawford operates within those guidelines and steps. He does some things that's unusual based on his athleticism. His ability to see, his vision is crazy, but this team is a force to be dealt with. I don't know what happens next. This is a very interesting conversation. For Canelo, I think that he's super fucked. And let me tell you why. Bud just lifted every belt off you at 68. You are already a fringe 68er. You're not going to fight a David Benavidez. You're not big enough and viable enough, respect to Canelo, to go up to 75 and deal with the likes of a Better BF, Benavidez, who's there currently, a David Morrell, and a Beevil who already beat you. If Bud doesn't dump all the belts and retire from the sport, you're not getting any 68 belts. I don't want to see, for the record, somebody clip this. I don't want to see a rematch between Bud Crawford and Canelo. I think they fought 10 times. Canelo would win twice. So, and we don't know when those wins would come. So we don't need to see that again, right? Is Canelo going to punish his body enough to go down to 60? No, negative. And there's young monsters down there. But what does Bud Crawford do? This is a more interesting question for me. He's not at 68, and he beat Canelo, who's also not at 68. I believe it's been stated that he's not going to go back down, but he also may walk away. I stated this may be a farewell fight for Canelo. At this point in the video, I definitely want to hear your thoughts, questions, comments, and concerns about next steps for Canelo. Not Canelo, for Crawford. He's the man right now, and he might walk away. The X factor, in my opinion, in this fight, besides Bud's talent, skill, and ability, which I highlighted, his corner had a plan. They stuck to it. And when they felt like it was going left, Bud Crawford and team made an adjustment. Canelo refused to do that. This is your boy, JG. This has been the Punch Report. Please be so kind, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified when the videos drop. If you made it this far, you definitely a real one. And we out.